Hello. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for tuning in, and welcome to the draft of the NFL, or the NRL. Sorry. My name is Seamless Link, and I am joined here by Perfect Finn. What's up, Finn? How you doing tonight?
What's up, Seamless? I'm feeling good, man. Thanks for having me. Black Squall, yeah, you do not have time to shower, buddy. You're going to have to go ahead and put that off for the time being, because we're going to do some group drafts. I'm looking forward to this. I'm very excited for this event. Thank you so much to Fabricator General and Seamless Link for having me be a part of the commentary team. But yeah, we're going to be drafting groups. I'm excited to see, there's definitely some really interesting matchups as far as, I think there's a lot of hype around a few specific runners. And I'd be interested to see, what the stages are going to look like.
Yeah, and just to give everybody a quick briefing on how this is going to work, you can see we've got our 5 groups listed on the screen. Each one of the groups is represented by one of the different boss backgrounds in Ninja Gaiden, so we're going to have up to 5 groups. And instead of just seeding everybody into a group, what we're going to do is in groups of 5, we're going to start spinning that wheel you see on the right side and dropping them off into each different group. So we'll see a lot of who's going to be up in which group, racing against who, and the winners from each group stage are going to advance from our group stage day into the playoff bracket. That's what we've got on the line, and that's what we're looking forward to with who makes it into which group.
Yep. And then we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but I think it might be a good idea to kind of reiterate. So you had told me about how the seeding was done to kind of separate, runners of similar skill levels and try to create, some diverse groups or pool play. Could you want to talk a little bit about that and explain how the seeding is going to affect, which runners will end up in which group?
Yep. So as you can see, we've got if you just go by PBs, you can see our top 5 runners here are going to be Arcus, the Retro Runner, Beer Full of Belly, Lane Rainer, and Knucklebuster. So normally in a tournament seeding, you try and keep your top seeds away from some of your other top seeds, and the hopes is they can advance as far as they can based on that seed. So what we're going to do is put each of one of those 5 assigned into a different group. Now when you get to your 6th through 10th seeds, the question becomes, do you have more of a snake style draft where we put the 6th seed with the 5th seed, and that might be a little bit of an advantage there, or do you put the 6th seed with the 1st seed, which might be a tougher run for the 6th seed? And to get around all that and kind of not have to worry about that, what we've done is we've decided to just spin the wheel. You guys can see it live and get to experience it yourselves and really check it out and join in with the drama and the fun and the mystery of it. So it's all above board, and everybody can really speculate and root and hope as they'd like.
Yeah, no rigs here. Nobody paid for any additional seat position or anything like that. Everything, like you said, everything's above board, totally legitimate.
All right. I think I'm ready to get spinning. How about you, Finny?
Yeah, let's spin it, baby. I'm ready. Hit me.
All right.
No whammies.
No whammies. All right. So
Shut up and take my money.
the first one. Thanks, Fab, for the seed me, baby. Let's go. All right. The first one in group number 1. Our first runner is going to be looks like Lane Rainer. All right.
Lane Rainer.
Nice. So then what we're going to do is take Mr. Lane Rainer off the wheel here. You can see we drop down to 4. And we're going to move over again to the second group. You can see the nameplate right over there. And we'll spin it one more time. That's it. The Retro Runner in the second group up at the head up there. Let's go ahead and get him put in.
The Retro Runner. The Retro Runner.
That's awesome.
I may have tuned into the stream a few times.
You got to put the little swing.
I only have so many syllables that I can enunciate at once seamless.
That
unfortunately do not possess the ability to beatbox.
Yet. We've still got a week before the run.
That's true.
Races. We can practice. All right. Next up, we've got 3 runners left. Let's take a quick look as we welcome in Squeak and Squeak's viewers as to who's going to be in the 3rd group. Just barely ticked over to Beer Full of Belly in the 3rd group. Go ahead and get his name right up in there. Okay. Moving over to group number 4. We've got Mr. Arcus and Mr. Knucklebuster. Let's take a quick look and see who's going to land where. We've got Mr. Knucklebuster in the 4th spot in the 4th group. Bam. And that makes Finn. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I wonder who's going to be in the 5th stage.
Yeah, you may have.
The man himself, he needs no introduction. The cowboy of Ninja Gaiden.
Arcus, that's right. And now, that was the easy round. Everybody kind of knows that one, sees that coming, and sees how that one works. Here's where it starts getting a little bit fun. So, as we can see here, we've got 5 more runners that we're going to spin the wheel for. We've got Black Squall, Gray Skull, X Christine, Edo, and SSR. And we're going to do the same process where now we're going to spin and see again for group 1 who is going to be placed in the same group as Mr. Lane Rayner. You ready, Finn?
Yeah, but honestly, Seamless, like looking at this, I don't want to play, like, I don't want to be in any of these groups. You know what I mean? Like, all of these runners are so incredibly talented. I don't really know that there's a difference between being in like Arcus or Retro's group versus being in like KB or Lane Rayner's group.
You are 100% correct. There's very talented ninjas. Finn, there's a reason that we made the smart decision to come up to the broadcast booth instead of being one of the names on the wheel.
Amen.
All right, let's go for our first runner in the group 1 with Lane Rayner.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
It's gonna be Edo, the pacifist master.
Yeah, hot off his incredible GDQ performance, by the way. Probably one of the most impressive marathon races marathon like runs I've ever seen.
Absolutely. Got a lot of attention. Fantastic guy. A brilliant mind in Ninja Gaiden too. Always looks at the game differently, tries to find new routes. It's going to be super exciting to see Edo and how he can.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. That means we're going to head on over now to group 2 with the Retro Runner. We'll see who the first person in the Retro Runners group is going to be out of the remaining 4. And let's go ahead and spin. Oh, very close. SSR 92.
So I'm not super familiar with SSR. Have you watched their runs? Do you know this person?
So SSR 92, I'm not super familiar, but SSR 92 definitely one of the older school ninjas.
Gotcha.
And a little before my time. I've only been speedrunning since January, but still a little bit of research. A very good licensed ninja, very low time, and a very smooth, crisp runner. I'm excited to see him back. Excited to see him running again. Be a lot of fun. Black Squall, no climbs, super clean play, and God tier mash.
Oh God, mash guy. Okay, must be nice.
It must be nice, huh?
Must be nice. Though honestly, I don't envy him being in TRR's group. I'm obviously a little bit of homer, a little bit of bias, but I think Retro is probably the best ninja out there currently. So SSR definitely got his work cut out for him.
I do agree. I think any of these groups for sure are tough, but definitely the Retro Runner, one of the consistent Ninja Gaiden players, definitely known for his consistency. You can set your watch to his quick climbs. And that'll be a challenge to try and go and run against. But let's go and move over to Group 3. We're going to pop this up with Mr. Beer Full of Belly's group over in Group 3, as we've got Black Squall, Gray Skull, and X Christine left. Let's spin it and see how we're looking on this one. And it's, very solidly X Christine.
Oh my god, it's X Christine.
I'm so glad. Go ahead.
She just had a new PB the other day, I think. 12:02 on her grind for sub 12, so she's getting very close.
She absolutely did. She is definitely a sub 12 runner. It's just a question of when she gets it. And to your point, she just dropped down to a 12:02. We did the seedings, at least for the wheel, based on the PBs this morning, whatever was on SRC. And she's just fresh off at 12:02, 3 seconds off. Again, super talented runner. It's been awesome to see her come back and play some more too. She was one of the runners that was running before I found out about this wonderful community. And then she was one of the ones that came back on the grind, which was super fun to watch. And I'm super excited to see her race as well.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Yep. It'd be fun to see how these players who are currently grinding match up against, some of these people who are kind of like coming out of retirement, so to speak. So, people who aren't as actively playing, people like Beerful and SSR. Be interesting to see how like old school matches up versus like the new like mentalities.
Absolutely. A lot of different strategies, different ways to handle things depending on how they learned and who they kind of grew up watching. So exactly. It'll be super, super neat to learn. But let's take a look. As the Knucklebuster group, let's see if we're going to put Mr. Black Squall or Gray Skull into that fourth group, and then which one of the fifth will go down to the fifth group. Let's see. And it's Gray Skull. So Gray Skull is going to fit into our fourth group here with Knucklebuster. And
very cool. Gray Skull, I think PB around like 11:57, I want to say. Kind of came out of nowhere, honestly. I hadn't really heard of him until like the past 6 months or so. And I didn't even know he ran Ninja Gaiden. And then, all of a sudden he's just grinding for sub 12. It's pretty wild. Also recent Twitch partner. Good dude's really been blowing up lately. Probably has kind of like the fire, honestly. He's running a lot of games. He's getting a lot of PBs. He's growing a huge following. So I wouldn't want to play against him either.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely a great runner. Again, one of the old school guys that I haven't been able to see too much, but super, super talented. And as we move down to our fifth category there, you can see in the fifth group with Arcus, that's going to give us Black Squall.
Well, Squall. Well. Right where you wanted to be.
Truly, I don't think anybody takes a look at the list of names and sees one in particular they want to run against, but still, Black Skull, an extremely talented runner in his own right. Not only has some of the fastest climbs that you'll see, but is very consistent at how fast his climbs are. So Black Skull.
He also just can't quit. The guy won't give up. He keeps saying one more PB, and then he's like, I could push it a little further. So dude's just super determined, super committed. Very much obviously loves the game. And I think, that's going to take him really far.
Absolutely too. Loves tinkering with things and really knows the mechanics, really digs in. And It's great to see, and it'll be an advantage in the races.
Absolutely.
All right, we are on round 3 now, where now we're going to be adding in Fabricator General, Slush Filter, Lick Arcade, Spiker, and Let Create. So we've got the same thing for all these runners again. We've got to find once more a home for all of them. And we're going to get started again with group number 1. You ready, Finny?
Yeah, let's spin it.
All right.
I'm pretty familiar with all of these runners other than Let Create, so I'll be interested to see where they end up.
I agree. I feel the same way too. I've been doing my homework and trying to watch some runs. In the first group is going to be, speak of them, Let Create.
Yeah, so I think, I'm not sure if they're a newer runner or older runner. This is one of the few runners, like I said, kind of like SSR, that I'm not as familiar with. Obviously super competitive. I think they have like a mid to low 12:0x time. So
Yep, definitely
very much capable of hanging with the rest of the runners.
Exactly. And one of the things too is especially the consistency factors. And a lot of the times when you see a lot of runners on the boards and their PBs, it's easy. It's not easy to get a good time, but it can sometimes get a good time that's 3 or 4 seconds below, and then you have a hard time kind of coming close to it again. So it's super tough. And one of the things when you don't see them live is you never get to see their consistency, and it'll really definitely be on display during the races. And I'm excited to see what Let Create can do. I'm excited to have an old ninja back and get to see him run again too.
Yep. Looks like current PB is 12:13. It's from Chile.
Oh, nice.
That was about, looks like 5 months ago. Looks like he's been working on Ninja Gaiden 2 more recently, actually. Just got a sub 11 a few months back. So he's a double licensed ninja, which, as we all know, is twice as deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see him in there. Also, if he's a Chilean, we've got both Chileans in our first group as well.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
So, all right, let's take a look and let's move over and spin the wheel one more time for our second group. Joining Retro Runner and SSR is going to be Lick Arcade.
Kind of the bad boy of Ninja Gaiden, if I'm being honest. Baby Stallone himself. I love Lick. He's a super cool, funny dude. He has probably one of the best matches of all the Ninja Gaiden players. Dude has what I would refer to as the chainsaw mash. It just sounds like a buzzsaw. Bzzz. And I think, that's really, really important. A lot of people think about Ninja Gaiden and they think about, the stage routing, etc. But there's so much time to be saved in the final boss fights. And the difference between, having like a mediocre mash and a chainsaw mash, just huge time saves there.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. And one of the things too with Lick Arcade is a big believer in visual cues, has visual cues for everything in order to try and get his consistency as reliable as possible. It's a great strategy. Not only for PB attempts, but hopefully it'll give him an edge in the races too, as he's in a, for sure, difficult group.
Yeah, I think it's important to have visual cues, even for mundane stuff, right? But especially, when you're streaming or when you're in a race scenario, it's really nice. If you're especially nervous, it's really nice to be able to just fall back on that stuff, right? Like, eventually you're going to refer to those cues so often that it's not going to really be a conscious effort to think about looking for them. Just a thing that naturally guides you subconsciously. And I think that'll be really beneficial in a stressful race scenario.
Yep, absolutely. All right. We're down to 3 left for this section with 3 groups left. Let's take a look and see who's going to join Beer Full of Belly and X Christine. And just barely Fabricator General. Right on the line.
FabG the sweetheart of the Ninja Gaiden community, maybe my personal favorite runner, made an incredible tribute a couple months back that honestly got me a little choked up. Fabricator, very much obviously loves this game and this community, and it really shows. So once again, thank you, Fab, for working to make all this happen. Very much appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely, definitely one of the my partner in crime for sure, and getting a lot of this stuff up and running. He is officially, I joke, the PR man, because he's the guy that has the social media and knows all the people and the folks. And absolutely wonderful guy and getting all this started. He's probably seen 30 versions of this stream layout, as I tried to find one that looked decent enough. So but all right, we are down to 2. We've got Slush Filter and Spiker. Let's find out which one is going to join Knucklebuster and Gray Skull.
Looks like Spiker.
It is. It's Spiker.
Cool. So Spiker, I think, is not necessarily a newer runner, but newer as of the past, couple year and a half. I think they started running shortly before I did. I think Spiker's a little younger to my knowledge, incredibly talented, has a very competitive time in SMB 1, like a very good sub 5, as well as a sub 12 in Castlevania. So Spiker, one of those people who picks up games super quickly. And I think if Spiker wants to do well in this event, that's up to them. But I think if they choose to, I would be, very frightened of what they're capable of. Because I think, like I said, I think he's a little younger, got maybe a little more time than the rest of us, but also incredibly talented, right? We have years, and most of us are in our 30s at this point, years and years of just deprecation. But Spiker's young, talented, and I think, like I said, very determined. So I think if they want to do well in this event, they could devote a lot of time and be a really fearsome opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, that's exactly right. A fantastic Super Mario player where they get used to those frame perfect tricks. And a lot of that frame perfection is needed, which carries over and helps in Gaiden. And even recently, not a huge D-Rust for Spiker. Spiker recently got a 1210 within the past month or so. So hopefully not a long D-Rust for him. And they should be back in and running pretty soon and pretty strong. So that leaves in our 5th group, joining Black Squall and Arcus, is the Code Ninja himself, Slush Filter.
Yeah, Slush incredibly talented, reverse engineering, doing code dives for assembly-based NES games. Dude is kind of a wealth of information when it comes to frame data, things of that nature. Super beneficial resource for any speedrun community. But dude definitely does it for the love of the game. He's not getting paid. So shout out to Slush for helping everybody with that information.
Yep, absolutely. And that's just in-depth knowledge of the game mechanics. You're not going to find a ninja that can do any better than that. And just knowing the ins and outs of working around the sword, the hitboxes, how everything works, will be a bit of an advantage. And hopefully giving them some consistency and staying with things. So
yeah, you have to wonder if when you have like a mad scientist like that who has such intimate knowledge of the game data, if they maybe keep like a little tricksy up their sleeve just for them, just for these kind of situations.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Just got one in the tank. He knew this day and this league would be coming. I think even in the background you can hear the dog is getting hype. All right, we've got our next group of 5 runners up there in the corner. We've got Razul, Mighty Steiny, J Riggs, Neowin, and Blind Dusty. So we'll go to group 1 and see again who's going to be joining Lane, Edo, and Let Create in the first group. And just barely doesn't tick over. It's going to be Neowin in our first group.
Very cool. Neowin, I think, started running just in the past few months, but dude's been progressing rapidly. He's obviously very excited about the game. Very cool tuning into his streams, just saying, how fresh and like passionate he is about the game. Yeah, be interested to see how he does. Be interested to see how he matches up against some of these, older runners, people like Edo, and how their skills kind of compare, like we talked about previously, kind of like new strats versus the kind of the old hat methods that have people have worked on through the years.
Yep, and one of the things Neo and especially known for too is he does a lot of the high risk strategies during his PB attempts. Usually a lot of the butt clutch cliff, the double scree, things that can be a little high risk, and I don't want to say low reward, but you know how Gaiden is. It's some technical stuff to get maybe half a second. And it'll be very interesting to see how his PB route changes with his race route when it comes to race day. If he stays with a lot of those risky strategies that have carried him to his PB, or if he kind of takes the foot off the gas a little bit and plays a little bit more conservatively to stay at good race pace.
For sure. That's an important point is, obviously race is way different than PB attempts, right? So it's going to be important for some of these less experienced racers to, kind of like reel in their greed, so to speak. Things like butt clinch cliff, 3-1 or 3-2 double scree. These are really, really marginal time saves, and they're very risky strategies. A lot of Ninja Gaiden, it's not like, because there's so many pits and because you have like such a small amount of iframes, a lot of these risky strats that might save you maybe a third of a second. A lot of the time, if you don't get them, you're just dying. It's not like, oh, I got, I took a knockback and I lost like a second or whatever. It's like, no, you just died.
Yep. And that's not all deaths are even in Gaiden. It's bad ladder clip might cost you 5 seconds, and bad death on the Demon can knock you back 2 full minutes. So
right, yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see some tail kills early on in the early group stages. And also, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now. If on the first day, if you go for butt clinch cliff and you die, I'm gonna say that you deserved it. That might be, other than dying on the final bosses, maybe the most needless risk and one of the like biggest time losses I can think of, having to replay all of 3-2 front to back. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
A bold stance, but definitely not wrong, sir. We'll see if anybody heeds the Finn warning, or if we get to look back on this in a week and point out, hey, we warned you.
Yeah, I'm just saying, first week, let's keep our butt cheeks nice and loose, everybody.
Seems perfectly reasonable. Retro Runner seems to take that as a challenge. We'll see if he delivers next Saturday. But all right, with our next 4 runners, speaking of the Retro Runner, we'll see who joins his group along with SSR and Lick, who the next man in is. And it is going to be Blind Dusty.
Yeah, Blind Dusty, I am honestly not familiar with. I have not had a chance to watch their run. Once again, I think probably a newer runner to my knowledge. But go ahead and pull up their SRC profile. Take a look at when their last PB was.
Yeah.
From Michigan, 13-10, 5 days ago. Let's go. That's cool. Very, on the grind, very passionate, obviously.
Yep, definitely a rising talent, definitely a very good ninja, and he's been really improving over the past, especially couple of months. Puts in a lot of time, a lot of practice, and a lot of runs, and has been steadily improving. And we'll see, especially over the past week, and as we get ready to the next week, how much more time he's going to be able to put in and really hone his game in time for the races. It's going to be definitely exciting to watch.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a kind of difficult to quantify advantage associated with people who are actively grinding the game, right? Some of these people, like, I don't know, like Edo, for example. Edo, obviously an incredibly talented runner, but not really actively playing any percent for a PB at this point. So I think there's definitely, like I said, sort of an unquantifiable advantage associated with people who are like literally loading up any percent every day, doing safe practice every day, doing PB attempts every day, and are hungry to, improve and get that next PB. So I think that people who are currently grinding might have an edge coming into this first race.
For sure, absolutely, and that's a wonderful point of, you know, being in the grind versus having to go through a D-Rust. So
Yeah, absolutely.
let's go and take a look at our next one, as we'll see who will be joining BFob, Christine, and Fabricator General out of our 3 remaining people. Let's go and spin it. Ooh. And it looks like Razul.
Raz is the workhorse of the Ninja Gaiden community. This guy, I really admire his dedication, and also his patience for the game. Kind of has that like Buddhist Arcus like Zen. Never really seems to get frustrated. Never seems to get angry. You know, never really gives up. He's a big fan of no resets, which I think is actually really beneficial for a race setting. You know, I think a lot of people, I would say most of us probably specialize in just PB attempts. And in those scenarios, you know, a lot of people don't play out deaths, or they don't play out, oh, I missed grabbing the fire wheel, or things of that nature. So I think that there's a lot to be said about somebody who plays out a lot of no resets, because they're going to have, you know, more backups. They're going to be more familiar with these bad situations and how to play through them.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, to your point, is I remember being on a stream with Raz the other day talking about his completion percentage of, you know, attempts to completions, and he was in the double digits, something around 14% of runs. And
yeah, that's absurd. You know, most people that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Most people are resetting in 1-1. You know,
that's exactly.
they hit the Stooges and they're like, all right, I'm out. I'm off it. Next one.
Yep. Definitely a very well-known racer, very, very consistent runner. And it'll be exciting to see how he comes in and how he does.
Yep.
All right. Let's go and move on over to our 4th group, where we've got either Mighty Steiny or Jay Riggs joining the group with Knucklebuster, Gray Skull, and Spiker. And we've got, right on the line, just over Mighty Steiny.
Nice. Yeah, so Mighty Steiny from New Jersey. PB, literally his PB was approved yesterday, fresh off a 1244. That's awesome. I really remember right when I was around that time frame in the 1245 to like 12.3x range. I think that is like when I was like the most excited about the game, because you're so close to license, right? You can like taste it. You know your strategies are there. You just have to get that one run where everything comes together. I also know from experience, though, that pretty soon this is where you get like the angriest with the game, because like once again you're so close, and it can be very difficult to get everything together, you know, to come together in a run at times. But yeah, that 1245 to 12.3x range is like what I would consider like the breakthrough range. Like when you can like break past that barrier, that's when you're really starting to understand the game. Everything's starting to click and make sense.
Yep, absolutely. And a very good point about that recent PB. A very chunky PB. Took about 10 seconds off getting down there. And, you know, to your point, starts getting to the point where he's fighting for seconds. But definitely excited to see him back on the grind. He's, again, a runner that you got to see. I haven't, and it's very exciting to see him back in and running. And, again, with some of this old school strats, an awesome guy. And I'm excited to see him go.
Yeah, I think this is cool. Like looking at his SRC profile, you know, on his PB submission, he's actually got like a breakdown of each of the acts, you know, kind of saying if there were any mistakes or things that he did good in each act. And like, I love seeing that. I think, you know, not enough people are probably going back and watching their own footage and kind of being critical of their performance and what they can work on. It's important to, you know, it's not fun. It feels a little narcissistic, but I think that's one of the best ways to improve is, you know, watch your own gameplay, analyze it, you know, compare it to other runs. What did you do good? What did you do bad? Etc. And I think that seeing that breakdown in his SRC submission is a good sign to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, it's how do you learn if you don't know what you're doing wrong? But a great point too. And let's see if we go and head on down to our 5th group and final group. The last player we're going to be adding into that one is Jay Riggs.
Yeah, Jay Riggs, I think a newer runner. I've not had the chance to tune in too much. Dude seems talented. I think he runs quite a few other NES games. But seems, like I said, talented, has competitive times in several other games to my knowledge. So I'd be interested to see how they perform moving forward. I know that they have times in Batman, I think Chippendale. And I think this is all in the span of like the past few months. So dude is obviously like, really, really loving speedrunning and really getting his hands into a lot of games. And I think that's something that is kind of also difficult to quantify, but definitely an advantage. It's just, like I said, playing every day, having the controller in your hand every day. It doesn't even need to be Ninja Gaiden, right? Just keeping your hands fresh, your brain in the right mindset. And I think there is probably, when you play other games, like Tetris obviously isn't going to help your Ninja Gaiden game. But when you're playing other action platformers like Batman, it can help you kind of look at Ninja Gaiden in a different perspective when you come back to it. There might be things that you do in Batman that don't necessarily directly translate, but might help you like think about Ninja Gaiden in a way that you hadn't previously because you were kind of like tunnel visioned by the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things too that's very always interesting about Riggs is Riggs was one of the runners that learned low percent first. Actually started off with just the sword, didn't touch spin slash till he was already good at the game. So it's always fun to see him run it as he takes a little bit of a low percent mentality to approaching some things. And it gives him a lot more accuracy with the sword as he's, got a little bit more practice with it. So it'll be very, very exciting to see. Absolutely.
I've never really heard of that, but honestly, I think that might be the way. Like, if you were gonna, if somebody was just starting to learn the game, that might actually be the way to do it. Like, really learn the art of the sword because it's so bad, right? It's just it's awful, and I think that spin slash compensates for that a lot of the time, which can be kind of like a crutch. So I think, like if you were gonna like try to craft, the ultimate Ninja Gaiden runner, probably start him out on low percent, honestly.
Yep. And now here's the next question I have for you. What would you think about starting out on Pacifist? Because one of the runners in our next group, Vigo the Carpathian, did exactly that. Started with Pacifist.
Yeah, that's wild to me too. I love Pacifist though. It's honestly probably my favorite category to watch. I love damage boosts. I think they feel really good in Ninja Gaiden, and the sound effect is incredible. That Bew sound. I love watching the category. It's super inventive, and I think that Edo and Vigo probably have some of the most creative Ninja Gaiden brains from having played that category so much.
Absolutely. And a ton of precision in their jumps and timings. And it really gives a lot of experience in dealing with the global timer. Something that, with any percent, if you get behind on pace, you can wind up in a game that's different than you're used to. So, we'll see how that can help and work to their advantage. But speaking of Vigo and the two other runners he's with, the Shana and the Escape Plan, let's get those guys in the groups as we go with our first group. And we'll see if Vigo ends up with one of the other pacifist runners in Edo. Let's take a spin. Oh, it's not. It's going to be Nescape Plan that ends up in group 1.
Yeah, Nescape Plan is very, very talented Mega Man runner, I believe. I don't see their PB posted on SRC. Oh, that's because they're on the Mega Man leaderboards. But yeah, I know Nescape Plan been doing a lot of like Buster only Mega Man marathons, which is really cool. Looks like Ninja Gaiden 90% PB is 1404 7 months ago. So maybe they've been doing some secret, offline D-Rust. Be interesting to see if, how they're able to perform come race day.
For sure. Absolutely. You keep it offline. Nobody knows your strategies. Maybe you found something, some special tech to bring out on race day. It'll be super neat. Yep. All right. We're on down to our last two. So we're going to move over to group 2. Joining the Retro Runner, SSR, Lick Arcade, and Blind Dusty is going to be... Should have timed that better, but it's going to be Vigo the Carpathian in group 2.
Vigo.
He is Vigo.
Go ahead.
So it's just the standard. He is Vigo.
Yeah, Vigo, like we said, passive runner, low percent runner, definitely has one of the more creative Ninja Gaiden brains. I think that, those skills are definitely also helpful for a race scenario. Like you said, those categories, you learn your way around the sword, you learn your way around some really, really tight, innovative jumps. And I think, in a race setting, it can be helpful to be able to fall back on those strategies, especially if you take a nasty death and like you don't have spin slash anymore. A lot of people aren't going to know what to do. They just literally won't know what to do because they're dead in their PB attempts. They just usually reset. So, and Vigo had a low percent PB 4 days ago. So Vigo knows what to do.
Absolutely. He's got one of the big advantages, I think, too, that you get from, that pacifist and the low percent upbringing, too, is when to strategically time deaths. If things aren't going well, they know the fastest deaths to take and the easiest deaths to take. We mentioned before that not all deaths are equal, and I think it'll be an advantage for them to know instinctively and not have to think about when they should die.
That's true, right? I didn't think about that, especially in like Act 5. There's some, you can get into some hairy situations based on your NIMPO or your health management. And yeah, it might just be better to take an intentional death. I think it's certainly better in a race setting to sometimes take an intentional death. But a lot of people, like you said, if they don't run these categories, they're not going to have an idea of like when and where to do that. They might all of a sudden, halfway through 5-2 or something, be like, might realize, oh, I don't have enough health to get through like with the strategies that I know. And like now they decide to take an intentional death when they could have taken the death, 10 to 15 seconds ago.
Yep, exactly. 100% correct. And it'll be fun to watch that and see how it goes. And that'll bring us to our last group in Group 3. We've got, last but certainly not least, Deshana with 2 underscores.
2 underscores?
Two.
Who's this person? Who do they think they are?
Just in case the first one breaks down in what looks like our underscore group, as Razul with 1 underscore is the only other one with the trailing underscore.
Hey man, it's 2021. The profile names, they're drying up. People, I understand. You just got to insert as many characters as you can.
Absolutely.
Deshana 1343 1 week ago. So, very much actively playing the game, which is cool to see. I know they're also a huge fan of the Castlevania series. I recently went back and played some Vania, and they were really active in the Discord, which is neat to see. So person's obviously very passionate about, multiple games.
Absolutely.
Actively running the game, like I said, 1 week ago.
Yep, absolutely. And one of the things too with Deshana is an active participant in the weekly Castlevania races. So plenty of race experience, performs very well in the Castlevania races as well weekly, might not get affected by race nerves as well. So could have that advantage coming in and really be a strength against, some of the other people that might not be racing as frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like, if I had one takeaway, talking about like this game theory and the strategy, I think that the biggest thing is probably like race experience or like approaching these races with the race mindset. I think that if you are an incredibly talented runner, like let's say, you're a KB or a Black Squall or even like a retro runner, but you go into these races as if they are PB attempts, you're going to fail. You just cannot play these games in a race setting, going, all out for all of these minor time saves, because it's just not a recipe for success. And I think that the people who have race experience, both from a stress level and a strategy level, those people are going to benefit greatly. And I think that they'll have like a hidden advantage moving in that their PB seedings don't reflect.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's when you're looking at the groups here, there's definitely some talented groups. One of the things, to your point, to keep in mind is that, we tend to look only at the PBs and not at the other parts that really make up a speedrunner and their consistency, the way they handle nerves, and a lot of that overall strategy that comes with no reset running that, isn't super common when you're watching people do PB attempts. So it'll be super, super interesting to see these groups live and see them going.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited. I think that, this is going to be a really fun event. Thank you again, Seamless and Fab, for getting all this organized. I know it's a lot of work. I know it can be stressful trying to put all this stuff together. I know, OBS and technology, it doesn't always work the way that we want it to. But I'm very excited to see, like I said, all these new runners, old runners, this kind of like amalgamation of runners that you wouldn't even think to compare in your head. All these groups look really, really cool. Be really fun to watch over the next few weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And as a reminder for everybody viewing, the races are going to start. These groups will be going 1 week from today, probably just about to the hour. The first group should be running at 7 p.m. What we're going to do is I'm just going to double check and make sure that it fits everybody's schedules. Try and maybe change the order of groups a little bit to try and fit make sure everybody can come in and race. But this is going to be it. We're going to be going the next 3 Saturdays. We'll be doing the group stage on the 17th, followed by the round of 8 on the 24th, and then the grand finals on the 31st.
Yep, super hype. I definitely look forward to helping out where I can with commentary. I think Retrofile TV might also be joining us. I think Seamless and Fab going to be in and out of the booth as well. So it'll be a fun time, man. Really looking forward to it. Very excited. I haven't got to do this in a long time, and we haven't really had I guess streamed Ninja Gaiden outside of casual stuff since the ONOT last July. It's been a whole year basically. So very excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. I'm super happy. All these people decided to come out. Again, we did release the official format rules in case you want to go and get super deep into it. It's on the NRL Discord in the announcement sections in case anybody wants to be a rules lawyer and check that stuff out. But again, I don't have a Discord link. I'll type it in chat though. But
I was just trying to help out, but I just accidentally called you out instead. I got it.
But yeah, no, that would have been smart of me. But but no, I appreciate you hopping on, Finn. I appreciate you doing some commentary. I'm excited to see you on and doing commentary in the races coming up too. It'll be a ton of fun. But I think that's going to be it for us for tonight. Any parting thoughts, Finn, before we go and find a raid target?
Play safe. My friend came up. My friend Jeff, who's a Hollow Knight speedrunner, came up with a brilliant mantra that I always fall back to in these kind of scenarios, and that is slow is safe, safe is consistent, consistent is fast. So therefore, slow is fast. And I think, like I said, this first week, man, play safe. Loose butt cheeks, keep them loose.